Hello, welcome to the latest Nature Diary session. Today we're going to paint rabbits. I thought it was a good idea for Easter. So I'm just going to show you the photo that we'll be using. Can everybody see the photo? I think you can. It's a very cute photo of these two baby rabbits. I'm just going to tell you a little bit about rabbits in Malta. So the species name is European rabbit, which is Fennec europeo in Maltese. It's the largest land mammal in Malta, and it's common, but it's very secretive. So they avoid bright daylight most of the time, and they usually leave their burrows, which is where they live underneath the ground. They dig holes. They leave in the evening and very early in the morning so that they can go and feed. They like open countryside with grassland where they can see danger if it's approaching. But they also like garrigue habitat, especially garrigue, Ishari in Maltese, where it looks quite rocky, but there are lots of different plants out there, and they like large shrubs to be able to burrow underneath. They're herbivorous, which means they eat mainly grasses and plants. So they feed on leaves, flowers, stalks, roots, and bulbs. And they don't have any natural enemies, but a weasel might sometimes catch a rabbit, but it's mainly humans. And humans unfortunately hunt them for 7 months of the year, but the lack of habitat is also a bit of a problem. But we just need to protect the countryside, and then hopefully they'll have enough space to live. And you can find them in Malta, Comino, and Gozo. And in Gozo, they're a bit smaller because it's a smaller island. So I'm going to stop the share. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to send you this photo so you can use it to paint from, but obviously you can change between looking at what I'm doing and look at the photo as well. So I'll just send it to you in the chat. My computer should hopefully speed up. Okay, so I've sent you the photo, so you can open that up on your computer if you do want to use the photo to paint from. Okay, I'm going to change the video now. So now hopefully you should be able to see my picture of the rabbits. Is that right? Yes.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Tamsin, for me, it didn't come up on the chat. I don't know if the same is for everyone, the image.
Oh, I did send it. Can anybody else let me know if they can see the image?
Yes, we received it.
Okay, great, thank you. That's strange that you hasn't.
Yeah, I'm on my phone, unfortunately. So
Sorry.
I'm on my phone.
Phone.
Yeah, so somehow maybe it's...
Okay, on the phone, I'm not sure. I've not used Zoom that much on the phone, so I'm not sure how it works.
No, I can access the chat. I just don't see anything there, unfortunately.
Okay. Oh, that's strange. What I could do is I could share the screen again, and then keep the image of the rabbit on there.
Or just, can you just put it briefly and I'll take a screenshot, then it's fine.
Okay.
Thank you, sorry about that.
That's okay. If I... Okay, so that's there now. Can you see it?
Yeah, thanks. That's fine. You can continue. Thanks.
Okay, brilliant. Okay, so now I need to. Okay, so let's start drawing. So you need a pencil and a rubber. And like we usually do, so you need to take your paper, decide where you want to put your rabbits. So I've put them at the bottom of the paper, and I'm going to have them coming out to this size, and the top of his ears can be up here, and the feet can be around here, just so we have an idea of a size to keep to. So I'm going to draw so like we usually do, it's just going to be rough shapes at first. So if you look at the head of the one on the right, it's just a circular, well, almost circular. It kind of comes out a bit pointed into a bit of a snout, like that, kind of like an egg shaped, but it's almost sideways shaped. And then if we look at how big the head is and then compare it to the body, when you look at the photo, it's almost twice, not quite. So really the body should come out to about there. So if we draw a rough circle for the body there, and then we have, it's like drawing balloon animals, like I said last time. It does look a bit like a balloon. And another one, a shorter ear here. And then his paw comes out around there. And then another balloon here. It looks like a very funny rabbit at the moment. And then the other one's head is very cutely nestling on the other one's head. I don't know if that's his big brother or something, or her big brother who's looking after the other rabbit. Okay, so we want around the same kind of size, although this one's a bit, when you look at the perspective in the photo, because this one's kind of facing the photographer a little bit. So his body is a bit shorter. And then you have another balloon-like foot there, and there's a tiny bit of a suggestion of a paw there. And then, of course, its ears. Rabbits have quite big ears. And then the other ear, you can't see all of it. You can see the back of it, and that's about there. So we have the basic shapes already. Excuse me. So hopefully everybody's with me so far. So now we can start. I'm keeping my pencil really loose.
We're not done.
Okay, that's fine. I'm keeping my pencil really loose because this is just a rough sketch at the moment. Okay, don't worry if maybe I'm going too fast. Yeah, let me know if you want me to slow down a little bit.
Yes, please.
Okay, sorry. For now, it's just shapes. And you can check the angle of certain parts. Like, for example, if you want to check the angle of the ear, you can put your pencil against the photo. So I have the photo in front of me on another screen, and then you check it against your paper with using your pencil. And if you're using the photo on the screen, it's also a good idea to you pick up your drawing and put it next to the photo to see whether you like how it's coming along. Okay, how's everybody doing? Some of you are finished and some of you are still drawing. Okay, I'm going to start slowly going round the outline. Okay, so we have the top of the head there. So that's it looks quite right. I might straighten it a little bit as it comes down. And then we've got the nose there, and he has a bit of a triangle at the bottom of his nose. So I wonder if some of you have pet rabbits and know the shapes that they have on their faces. And then his chin comes down here. And maybe this, we don't really quite need that space there. And again, I'm keeping my pencil quite loose. So I'm just going to draw the ear here. So the shapes are really helpful because they help you. It makes it less overwhelming thinking you have to paint some rabbits, but the shapes, breaking it down into shapes makes it a lot easier. And then that comes down there. And I'm going to draw a little bit of a line where it kind of, there's a bend in the ear. And this ear is not quite this circular. And it comes round and covers the other ear. And then you can see where there's a bend in his ear. So hopefully everyone's okay, and let me know if you need me to slow down, okay?
Yes.
Okay. Somebody else. Hello, welcome if you've just joined us. So we've just started with drawing. You can see on the left that we just have rough shapes for this rabbit. And I've just started drawing around the other, give its outline. My internet froze a little bit there. Okay, so then this ear, it kind of comes out like that. And then down here. And then we're just drawing the folds. If you just think of everything as shapes, so that kind of looks like a triangle. This has been something I found quite useful when doing these drawings, is you need a little bit of a thinner rubber instead of a big chunky one like this one. So what I did was I cut a piece of rubber, so now it has quite a thin edge, so that's quite good to rub with. It saves having to go out and buy new rubbers. So then the head comes down like this. Let's give him his jawline. And then here, this is where, so here, when we first drew the shapes, you kind of just draw them quite roughly. But then when you actually look at the negative spaces between things, then you start to realize where the lines should start. So here I can see that the ear, there's kind of this space in between the ear and the body, so I know I need to start it there. And here's kind of, the back comes out a little bit. And then get to his back. There. And you can see that his body is kind of over his paws, so his paws are tucked in. And it's quite hard to see the paws underneath because it gets so dark underneath the other one's chin. But we can give a bit of a suggestion. And then these paws, hit this paw, the hind paw, is a little bit difficult, but when we paint it, it won't be so detailed, so I'm not going to worry about it too much. And then I'm just going to draw the eye. So if we look, the eye, if you look at the ear, the back part is underneath the front ear. And then if you look at the space between the front of the head and the eye, kind of around there, quite central. And they're quite pretty eyes. They kind of come to a point on either side, but then they're quite circular inside. And it's really important when we come to paint it to use white paint in the middle to make it look 3D and like it's reflecting the light. Okay, so now we can start on the other rabbit. Hopefully everyone's okay with me so far. So again, we'll start, you can use the other rabbit to show us where the other lines, the lines of the other rabbit come out and how to draw against the other one. So his head and then his jawline. There. And then you can see his nose. And his eye. It's about underneath the nose of the other one. About. So that's about right. And then we can draw the ears. So the shape of that one is about right. Then there's the fold in this ear. And then it comes down like that. They're really big ears. And there's a few funny shapes inside. It's kind of split down the middle. And then, so here we need to come up with the body. So the lines against the top of the first ear. And you can see a little bit of a line where you can imagining the skeleton of the rabbit is quite helpful. So you can see that even though it's fur, you can imagine how his legs are, like the top part of his leg is causing that shape in his fur. I've just realized, I think I've made his body too big. Only slightly. Okay. So that's where his paw comes in. That's quite a nice paw that we'll try and get represent in the painting. Because we can see his toes quite clearly. And then here, I can't see much of his body, and his paw comes right here. Okay, so we have a rough drawing. I'm just going to rub out the lines we don't need very carefully.
I'm sorry, can you be a little bit slowly?
Okay, sorry. I think I've got a bad habit of going too quick. Yeah, I'm just going to go around the rabbit and rub out any lines I don't need very carefully. So you kind of have to concentrate a little bit to make sure you don't rub out any of the lines you do need. And every time I draw, even when it's the exact same picture, they always come out different. And because we're painting, well, some of us, everybody's using different mediums. But with watercolor, it is quite good to not have the pencil lines showing so much. I mean, with this, it's going to be, we're going to be using dark brown, so it should be okay. But if you have any quite dark bits, you can use your rubber to I'm kind of dabbing it, and it's picking the darkest pencil bits up. You have to make sure your rubber is quite clean though. And the way to do that is rub it against a wall or a bit of clean wood. And you can buy putty rubbers from art shops, and they're quite good. Mine's becoming quite dirty now. Okay, hopefully that's light enough. So if you're ready, you can go just do a few checks that you're happy with most of it. And let me know whether you're ready to start painting. The colours I'm using are these. So if you have watercolours, but if you don't, just try and find the closest colour possible. So this is a raw umber and a burnt umber. So the raw umber is quite a light brown. So if you have a light brown, that's good. And then you have burnt umber, which is kind of reddish brown. Then this is Payne's Grey, which is almost black, but it's kind of quite a dark grey. So if you have that, that's good. A yellow ochre, which is a kind of muddy yellow. It looks a bit like stone, especially the stone in Malta. And then this is a pink, which is rose opera, which is very strong, and you really don't need a lot of it. So I'm going to squeeze all of those into my palette.
Kindly repeat the colors, please.
Yeah, there's raw umber.
Thank you.
And burnt umber. We need quite a bit of the, I might put that in a big, show you what I'm doing, a big place to mix it, because we need quite a bit for the whole bodies.
Okay, yeah, now.
So what color is that, please? That green?
This is raw umber.
Oh.
This is this one.
Oh.
See the name?
Okay, okay, thank you.
And then this is burnt umber, which is a reddish brown. I'll put that down there. And then this is Payne's Grey, which is a dark grey. And Yellow Ochre, which is a brownish kind of yellow. If I keep my palette like that, you should be able to see it. Hairs and cat hair all over the place. And then this is it's called Opera Rose. It's really strong. I'm going to put that on the side here and just use a tiny dab of it. And also I forgot about another two colors, sorry. We also need a little bit of orange. I don't have that in a tube, I just have it in this square. I'm just trying to use it up. And a little bit of white. But I'll wet them when it comes to using them. And then I'm going to use, the first brush I'm going to use is this medium-sized brush, which is number 8, but they're all different depending on the brand. So it's just a medium one, one that you feel comfortable painting the body of the rabbits with. So you don't want one too big, but you also don't want one too small because it will take you forever. So I'm just going to get some water and mix these two colours. I'm going to mix them quite loosely, so I don't want a perfect mix of them. Because their fur is quite streaky. But we'll probably achieve that effect when we use the Payne's Grey. And I'm going to make it a little bit watery. So you just add water. And then I'm going to, using clean water, so I've got 2 pots of water here. I'm going to paint it with water first. Paint them with water first. Okay, my water still had some colour on the brush. Which is maybe a good thing because you can see the water, and it's fine because the body's going to be brown anyway. Okay, and I'm going to paint the ear as well, because if you notice on the second ear you can see the fur. And paint around the eye. So that's just water for now. And then I'm going to take a little bit of this brown colour and then just start painting. I'm going to start from the chest. Because it spreads that way. And the water with watercolour just helps it blend in if you paint it first. And I'm not going to paint quite the bottom of the paw, but I've just dried my paintbrush and we'll paint it very loosely so it stays quite light at the bottom. My paper dries quite easily, or quite quickly rather. So, oops. So I'm just going to keep painting the brown in. So you can keep checking the photo to see what colours you can see, because everybody sees things in different ways. I was following a lesson the other day about painting robins, and the teacher painted this robin turquoise, which I thought was quite interesting. But everybody has their own way of seeing things. Okay, so, and again with this paw, I'm going to drag the paint down and dry my brush, and then this is quite dark here, but I think that's fine because it's underneath the hind leg. I'm just applying a little bit of water here to blend it in a little bit. You do have to be careful with watercolors not to go over it too many times, because then the paper starts getting upset. Okay, so that's one first light wash. I just need to do the head next. The water has dried, so I'm just going to paint it again with the water. And again, it just helps it to blend in. Take some of this brown colour again. And I'm going to start with this bit because it's quite dark. Underneath the other one's head. And on the ear. And I'm trying to, if you look at the eyes, I'm trying to leave it a little bit. They have quite white fur around the eyes. But if you haven't, that's fine because we can use the white. Okay, so that's, yeah, my paint bleeding into the part around the eye. It's fine because we can just use the white afterwards. And I'm just going to paint this part of the ear. And with watercolors, you get things like, they call them cauliflowers, which I've got over here. And some artists are really bothered by it, and some people aren't that bothered by it. I think it kind of adds to your painting, but it's completely up to you. Just going to try and lift up some of this here. Okay, so you can start on the second rabbit. Don't worry about rushing with me. For one thing, it's recorded, so you can always catch up. It's just because I have to try and make it within the hour. I mean, I don't mind if we go over by a little bit, but don't rush yourself. Because I'm sure you know what you're doing anyway. So again, I'm just painting the rabbit with water again. And then take that same color, the two browns mixed together. And I'm going to start with the paw because it's quite dark down here. Bring that color up. So it doesn't look much like fur at the moment, but we'll try and give the impression of fur. Okay, now the head. And we can keep going up on top of this ear. We can cover those small details for now and then highlight them a bit later. So now we've got one wash of brown. We're going to use the Payne's grey, so any grey, dark grey colour that you have. But I'm making it really watery because it is quite a strong colour. And so in the darkest places, like on this one, it's here. And I'm dabbing it. I'm not actual painting it, because to give this impression of fur, so you can leave bits of brown. So you almost paint it on as like it's in lines. And there's a dark bit here. And if it's too much paint, you can keep, this is what I keep doing. I don't know if you can see me. Some people keep a piece of kitchen towel here and then they dab their brush like this. But I've got into this habit of keeping a piece of tissue or kitchen towel in my hand and then just dabbing my brush onto it. Because sometimes I don't want so much paint on my brush. And I'm just painting just some lines. Very lightly. To give this impression of fur. And you can, I'm going to come out a little bit of the edge where we've painted, because rabbit fur does stick out. Just giving, just with tiny, tiny marks. And then, when you look at the photo, you can see the direction of the fur, which is quite helpful. So on the paw, it comes down. And then we can, oops, to be careful of the wet bits. This bit's quite dark on this ear. Didn't get very many lines on that ear, but and just go around the head now and around the eye. And you can mark out the bits around the ears just very lightly. And if you think they look a bit harsh, you can always add a bit of water. So I'm leaving the front of the face where the nose is, because that bit's quite orange, so we're going to introduce a little bit of orange. I'm going to blend this in a little bit. Okay, and then we need to do the other rabbit. I'm going to start from the top. Again, trying to look at the direction of the fur. And bringing it over the edge a little bit so they look as fluffy as they are. Here there's probably the shape of the hind leg. I'm not sure about that bit. I just blend it with some water. And if it is a little bit wet in places, don't worry, because it's quite nice when it blends together. I'm going to make it quite dark down here because it is in the photo. Need a lot of patience to paint all this fur. Although, if we did actually paint every single one, that would take a hell of a lot longer. Okay, and I'm not going to paint. Wow, we could paint some suggestions of fur on this one. So now I can see that the face on the other one has dried quite lightly, so I'm just going to dab a little bit more marks. And you can add brown. I added on my other painting, they turned out quite dark because I added brown on top. And just give some fur impression here. Stick it out a little bit. And we need to do the other head as well. Oops, it's way too much. take it up the ear. So when, even after the lesson, you might want to go over it again and add more fur lines. Because I did on my other one, I had to keep waiting for it to dry. Because with watercolor, that's the best way to work, is to wait for it to dry and then apply another layer. You have to be quite patient. Add a little bit of brown there. Blend it in a little bit. And the same on the face, because it is quite brown. So next, I'm going to use the yellow ochre and just dab a little bit on the paws. I'm not painting it in, I'm just giving a little bit of suggestion. And I'm also going to use some white, just because I've got white fur. We put a bit too much there. And I'm going to use the orange and mix the orange with the brown, because we don't want to just dab orange on. And just put that there for the snout. And then if you really dry your brush, you can blend the edges. I'm just going to add a little bit of just dabbing some brown in. And then doing the same on the other rabbit. So we're a bit over time, so if you need to go, that's fine, don't worry. But otherwise we'll keep going. I'm just going to dab a little bit of brown. And I'm gonna wet the area. So we'll let the snouts dry for a bit. I'm wetting the area around the eye. And try and blend in surrounding. So this is just clean water basically, and I'm going to use some of the brown, and then some of the grey. And then a little bit of white, isn't too watery. Yeah, because when you drop it in, then it spreads out. Doesn't look exactly like the photo, but I think I quite like that effect because it looks like fur. Try not to fiddle with it too much. And do the same on the other rabbit. So you grab the white. And it doesn't matter if you get a bit of white on the inside because we need to paint that with quite dark black. So next we're going to paint the ears. So I'm going to mix some of the grey with a tiny, tiny, tiny bit of pink. Wonder if there's some of you that are finished. If you've finished, you can write April at the top of your page because the month is April, so this is dedicated to April in your nature diary. So that's the color I'm getting. It's a really kind of dark lilac, grey with a tiny amount of pink. So I'm just going to paint the inside of the ears.
What did you use the yellow, please?
Sorry, the yellow.
Yes.
Yeah, the yellow ochre I put at the bottom of the paws, but then I dropped some white into the yellow, so it kind of mixed together a little bit.
But on the rabbit, there is no yellow on the rabbit.
No, but I kind of feel like it's a little bit lighter on the paws.
Okay, okay.
I mean, and it's not quite yellow. Yellow ochre is like a muddy yellow. It's this one
Yes.
here.
Yes, 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 yes. Thank you.
So it's kind of a brownish yellow.
Yes, thank you.
You're welcome. So, and then I'm going to paint this year. The lilac as well. And I'm going to blend, I'll try and blend the brown from that ear. And this one needs a bit of blending as well. Or painting the line in. And then I'm going to take just the Payne's grey or dark grey, whichever you have, and paint some of the shadowy bits. So starting here, just to make the ears look round. So mine's bled a little bit. It's fine. Pick it up with the kitchen towel or a dry brush. And then I'm going to do the same in the other one. So the shadow is here. And I'm just going to try brush a bit. And here. That brown again. Okay, so we're almost there. I'm going to take a tiny brush now and draw the noses. So we have to be quite careful with this part. So this brush is a size 1. You can use a black pen if you want to, if you feel more stable with that. Oh, something else I haven't been doing, which I should have been telling you to do, is if you feel like you need to test something, it's always a good idea to keep a piece of rough paper nearby. So if you're about to paint an eye or a nose and you need to be quite steady, you can test it on the rough paper and you can check the consistency of the paint that you have. So I'm gonna go for it. I'll paint the top one first to try and avoid smudges. And it comes up. And it kind of curls a little bit.
Sorry, can we write East?
Yes, you can. After all, Easter is in April, so it's a good way to remember the month of April. I think, hang on, my phone. My phone switched off a little bit there. Hopefully. Might have to plug the charger in. Okay, so let's continue doing this nose. So comes down a little bit.
What color for the nose, please? Is it brown or?
I'm using Payne's Grey, which is a really dark grey, but with watercolor, depending on how much water you add to it, it lightens it.
Yes, thank you.
That's okay, but if you just have black, that's fine. And then bring the beginnings of his mouth down there. And we'll do the other one. So I Yeah, that's about right. And I mean, even if it's not quite one line and you give a suggestion of it, that's fine. And we can go ahead and do the eyes very carefully. So you can do the outline. And then around here, you kind of want to leave a white spot, because like I said, to leave a reflection. And then paint round. Okay, he looks more like a rabbit now. They look a bit strange with white eyes. And we can do the other one. So you, it's possibly easier to move the paper around if you need to. So again, paint the outline. And then the white around there. And the white is, I'm painting it as a kind of oval shape. I think I need to make the top bit a bit rounder. Ah, I just dropped some water. That's why you need to have a kitchen towel nearby in case of accidents. A little bit darker. And a little bit rounder. And the last thing, I don't know if anybody's guessed, I nearly forgot them last time. One of the most important things on rabbits is their whiskers. So I'm just going to draw a few, and I'm using the Payne's grey, or you can use black, or grey might be a better colour. And just a suggestion of the whiskers, again, changing the page at an angle that's easier for you to work is good. And I'm just going to, because that's on that side. And then here, you can do a few dots as well, because if you look at the photo, you can see where the whiskers are coming out. So I think roughly in the same direction. And then for this one, again, I'm going to give him a few dots. Oh, you know what I forgot to do is, oh, maybe we can do that next. And then a few whiskers. I'm just looking at the nose. And what I'm going to do is add a little bit of white just underneath. Maybe white's a bit too harsh. Right, I'm going to use yellow ochre just to brighten that bit up. Not quite showing. Let's mix like we did for the paws. White. And then drop some yellow in. And the same here. Here he just has it underneath. So you can, I think I'm going to stop here, but you can keep adding and well, don't fiddle too much. But maybe if you wanted to add a few more fur suggestions, or I could, it's always a good thing to look at tone as well. So if you're noticing that it should be a bit darker in some places on your painting, then you can add a little bit of Payne's grey in places. Like here, I went quite dark on the other one, so you might want to add a little bit more just to show that there's the shadow from the head. I might add a little bit of brown. And you could add those details around the ears. I mean, I gave a sort of hint of them here. I think I missed it here though. The Payne's grey is quite a useful colour on these rabbits, because you can add details with it. I'm just going to make it a little bit browner there. And yeah, you can go over the whole rabbit again and just add a few more fur marks. Okay, so I'm going to stop there. Hopefully you all enjoyed painting those cute rabbits.